Ansary here with another podcast concerning the Archons. Please try to excuse the sound of wind, but I am sitting at the moment under the sun. It is very warm at this time. I've had enough water. I've done several podcasts already this morning. The flow is continuing, and I'm putting out my intention to be emotionally centered for this podcast. This is a guided contemplation on meditation as a tool to protect us against psychic attack, energy attacks, to help us ground and center and be able to interpret the information that's already inside us. I think that's a much more important process than and much safer than calling out to spirits. And as I've noted in other podcasts, I feel that there are generations of people, gullible individuals, that have gotten involved with channeling, and they have skipped the steps of actually becoming a more moral person and the basics of meditation regarding focusing, centering, quieting the mind. And I think that there are ways that people have engaged in certain shortcuts that may not have actually helped their own spiritual evolution. Okay, so there's various different types of meditations out there. What I'm going to try to describe is the similarity in some of the things that have been shared with regards to grounding, with regards to shielding, with regards to certain visualizations, and placing emphasis on there are certain patterns here. I recognize patterns. And so in terms of psychic protection, it's not that you're giving something else power. There's danger in that. There's ways that people do that. There's ways that people fear things and give certain things power. But with that power comes the power to bring forth a truth through that visualization, visualizing that shield, truly visualizing and seeing yourself grounded and being able to hold that in your mind, to focus, and be able to do that without effort, to actually believe that, to actually hold that in your mind. And today's day and age, there's a lot of people with their minds scrambled, that are unable to focus, that are unable to sit down, that are unable to stop watching TV, that are unable to stop checking their Facebook updates, men and women. Okay, today in this society with technology have been conditioned, many of them, to become addicted to it. So it's changing the wiring in the brain. It's shortening the attention span in some cases. And the benefits of basic meditation like deep breathing and observation of breath are things that can help restore balance. Of course, being in nature helps. But simply being in nature by itself doesn't necessarily change the mind from its Babylonian programming. As I say, faith without works is dead. And so applying that to the conversation of meditation. I had been exposed to, I guess, a variety of New Age beliefs as a young child, including oming, which is believed to strengthen our aura, to bring a little subtle vibration to the third eye, activating that awareness, intuitive center. But I would say that there was a lot of rejection. There was a lot of rejection of certain beliefs, New Age beliefs. And there's certain things that I think that I learned that had a little basis in truth. And through certain traumas in my teenage years, I took an interest in deep breathing and Eastern philosophy and Buddhist literature, Taoist literature, especially around the ages of 15, 16. I kind of delved into anything I could find at the high school library during that period where I was moving a lot. And I shared quite a bit in a recent podcast about my early life experiences, and that podcast series will continue. But I read anything I could about the nature of this matrix and reality to bring me a sense of peace. And I remember deep breathing. And, reading legends about, and I was also doing martial arts at the time, mostly training by myself. A lot of palm strikes, a lot of strikes, a lot of kicks. I always had an appreciation for, I guess, the spiritual side of martial arts, which isn't really anything that I've ever learned from anyone, but something that I've always kept my heart open to. And I've been looking for aspects of what is the spiritual side of martial arts, you could say. I've been privately exploring that. And legends of masters of the past, knowing a real tough guy in this current incarnation, of which I've described a little bit, will continue to. I saw it was more of the dark side of martial arts, not so much the light side, and how that can hurt someone karmically, and how sometimes people like that can be used by the Archons, people that are involved in violence that aren't actually protecting. So I believe there's a spiritual side of the martial arts where good people can protect people possessed by Archons or other things. I believe in that. I believe that there is a real spiritual war taking place. So in order to deal with my own traumas early on, deep breathing is something that I became aware of. And through reading different martial arts books, there may have been some emphasis on meditation here and there to focus the mind. And the mind, body, and spirit combo. And the Chinese energy system, there's like 3 energy bodies. Whereas with yoga, you're dealing with 7 energy systems. And then when you're dealing with some of the quacky stuff, you're dealing with people talking about 12 chakras and 13 chakras. And that's a level that doesn't draw me in. And there are certain claims that people have information, have traveled to multiple dimensions, and there's a lot of bogus stuff out there to, I think, open people up to certain influence and allow their powerful energies to open up. So a little feeding can take place, whether that person's aware of it or not. Right now, there's a lot of feeding going on. And there's not enough emphasis on the basics of psychic protection, which is, you hear the term be here now. And so, before getting to any complicated teaching, understanding things like deep breathing are at the cornerstone. And being in the heart, being present, being aware, taking deep breaths, holding that breath, and pacing yourself. It's about progress, not perfection. We live in a world of ideology about being perfect. And to just simply bring yourself back to observing your breath and holding that breath in, breathing properly as you breathe in deeply through the belly. Then expand the chest, as has been taught for thousands of years, to get that last bit of air in the lungs. Holding that prana, which is life force, as we see that for what it is, all the energy that we need in that single breath. Holding it, contemplating it, and releasing it. Releasing it through the mouth. And I've always tried to, when I was a younger man, I would ask people that would teach meditation, what is a better way to breathe, be it in through the nose and in through the mouth. And there's a purpose for breathing in through the nose as well as in through the mouth and releasing through the mouth. Okay, that's some heavy energy moving and centering. And so I bring this up now, the deep breathing, because that helps us get in the body, as some people prefer to it, to be present, to pull our energy back from maybe other places that it's been. And so this is a really good place to start, is to start the conversation with contemplation on meditation. Deep breathing, focusing on the heart, and taking it one step further, okay, and being aware of that energy field around your body, being stable, being centered, above your head, below your head, behind you, and in front of you. Imagine it, bringing it into your body, because our auras could be powerful, and they could be way out there, 15 feet, 20 feet, 25 feet. And so it's interacting with other fields that we don't necessarily want to interact with. We're picking up on stuff. We're really open. Some of us can be really open. And things can change. Things can change with the sun. Things can change with the planets. That opens us up more, like periods we're in right now following the supermoon. And there's periods where we can be brought down a little bit. Or less sensitive. Or less psychic. I do not believe that having non-local awareness is demonic. There is this belief system out there that is prevalent, and it's based in good intentions. It's based in warning people against the dangers of opening up your psychic selves to things you know nothing about, and I also warn thee. But it's also hypocritical for people to entertain the idea of prophetic visions. when they have no actual evidence or proof that God actually was the one that gave them that prophetic vision of America being attacked. And this really being about their own particular religious theological beliefs. But time and time again, we have thousands of people out there that are repeatedly getting a certain download of how World War III is going to go down. And some people have equated it with very specific religious ideology. And I do caution against such thinking. Now, that's something that I'm going to come back to. But I do believe that people can receive a vision. And there is a particular vision of certain things happening in the future that a certain number of people have received. While I haven't officially received that same vision of America being invaded at some point, it is something that I'm also speaking about as a waking knowing that I see coming on the trajectory. And that I feel led, I guess, if you will, to bits and pieces of information relating to the pathway towards this staged world war. Now, there's a purpose to meditation that relates to being able to step back and actually see something as it is. And I'll say that moving us on to really what this is about, which is contemplation of our meditative practice. When we look at the barrage of disinformation and information out there on the web, an unmindful mind is going to be programmed with fear and terror. It's going to be a little off balance. As a result, it's going to be drained. A drained mind led astray with its energy wasted on disinformation and wild goose chases. There's many examples of this. We can talk for hours. But to sum this up, it's a drain of energy. And there's ways in which I do think people are somewhat psychic or intuitive. Like I do think a lot of Americans know some danger's coming around the corner. But there's ways that mind control to come in. The Archons can come in and distort that. Or in the real world, we have all these threats, perceived threats coming from ISIS. So a lot of people believe the coming invasion is coming from ISIS. They're not seeing the larger picture down the line. And they're really believing for the most part that it's nation versus nation. Maybe Putin's a good guy. There's some pretty absurd mind control programs that I feel that I've witnessed in the last couple of years. Even with people that say they're conspiracy minded, they seem to be under some sort of spell that the New World Order is only over here, but it's not over here. And it's like, really? Are you kidding me? Just observing how you can take a guy like Trump and have him say, okay, you're going to be the only guy who's going to talk about the issues. And everybody is deliberately going to be a jackass to force you to be the only guy to talk about the issues, thus making you popular in the mind of the average man and woman. And some of these people are conspiracy theorists, and they're still saying, well, Trump's the only one, who's bringing up these issues as if it's not designed to be that way. So people have obviously been easily misled in politics and spirituality. A lot of people don't believe that they actually have an aspect of themselves that can receive a message. Whether one calls it psychic, or they call it telepathic, or they call it the third eye, it's that same thing that can lead us to truth that can be programmed. So even if someone doesn't even believe that they have a part of their selves that's able to receive, doesn't matter. They don't have to believe that there's an ability to be programmed. They can be programmed to not believe that they're not being programmed. They can be programmed to believe that they're being led to freedom, that they're evolving. They can be given positive energy for dabbling with the wrong spirits and not actually going through the work to actually clean themselves out. So there's power in each and every breath. And deep breathing combined with other forms of fitness is a positive thing. And I think that the martial arts hold an important component to this. I don't understand fully why that is. I do know that certain martial arts movements really gets the chi or energy going in the hands, which is connected to everything else. And the energy body can pull in energies from the cosmos and from the earth. And so there are ways we could direct our energy outwards. in a protective masculine way relating to self-defense. And there's also the healing aspect of projecting energy through the hands when relating to massage. So look at how the hands, martial arts, defense, palm strikes, the power, legends of Denmark, dropping guys with a single punch, the surge of energy that some men have mastered throughout time, those same hands that can also heal. Some say miracles or God working through people, usually through the hands. The hands holding energy we can bring in from within us. So deep breathing is where a lot of things begin. And once you move on to other meditations, deep breathing is not the main focus. It's usually visualizing on something, grounding yourself, just letting your breath be as it is. And so there is another meditation which I'm going to be discussing, but I feel that I should pause before discussing this at great length. But only to say that deep breathing is a great place to start and get in your body. Then there's another place to be where you're able to observe your breath as it is, breathing naturally, without trying to breathe deeply or quickly, but to a point to where it's breathing naturally. Your body's breathing on its own. You're not really directing it. And throughout that meditation, which is also known as Vipassana meditation, said many other ways. Something I came across first in 2002 when I did a 10-day retreat in northern Washington. Vipassana meditation, in short, you can read much more about it online and hear many quality lectures. Although I would say that there's not enough quality information on Vipassana yet on the internet. It's more of an experience of 10 days where you go somewhere where there's a structure based around long-term meditation all day, every day for 10 days straight that does not include talking to others or distractions. Doesn't include TV or radio, checking your cell phone, using a cell phone, or even eating meat. It's more about the observation of your breath at the natural rate of which we discussed, and going deep into one's psyche and observing what's really there, and observing what's really going on there within the human body in the body scan. As you can learn more about the body scan, where you're scanning your body, your feet, your arms, your body, and you're not reacting to it. You're just simply observing it, and you're going deeper and deeper. And the more equanimous you are, non-reactive, getting out of the Archon controlled reptilian reactive mind. No, it's arresting that, and it's observing, going deeper and deeper. The more equanimous, the more balanced, non-reactive one is, the deeper they're able to go in the awareness. And the end goal is being aware of what's going on in the body on a cellular level. So in this 10-day meditation retreat, which is, in many cases, the first meditation that people are introduced to. And in other cases, it's not the first, but it's the first that really seems to provide positive results. And the positive results are based on the simplicity. The positive results are based on people finding a sense of calmness, because usually people are seeking out the meditation to deal with chaos within the mind. So people suffering from drug addiction, other emotional disturbances. See, it's funny because this is the same way we can be controlled by the Archons, is to allow ourselves to be controlled by our emotions. So I am adding Vipassana to the discussion of psychic protection. This isn't something I learned from a radio show. It's something that I am introducing to this conversation, this contemplation on meditation techniques and practices. In addition to deep breathing, being in your body, that big, powerful breath of fresh air, especially for you non-smokers, you can hold it in, those yoga practitioners. But as far as sitting and observing for long periods of time without scratching ourselves and responding to that thought and checking our cell phone, how many of us can do that for several hours to several days? To master the monkey mind to such a point to where we can sit and observe and go deep and deal with what's inside our psyche. That is Vipassana meditation. And for many, many, many people, Vipassana meditation is their thing for a lifetime. Their goal is to become very calm and very aware and very non-reactive. Then there's an argument that comes in. Well, there is a time to actually mindfully respond to certain things, or to deal with certain things that come up, like pains in the body. There is power in developing the discipline. I do believe this. And just observing the pain beyond the pain's existence. Big core of Vipassana. Just imagine yourself wanting to itch or just change your position, and the discipline surrounding Vipassana of not moving. I mean, as long as you're not pulling a muscle, as long as it's not hurting. But a lot of stuff is in the mind and happening in the mind, even though we think it's happening in the body. And we really need to observe it to the point to where it is no more. It is something that we have transcended. Okay. The next thing to contemplate is visualization. Once we've become aware of our breath, once we've powered up our energy through deep breathing, then there's a level of visualization that does not include channeling spirits. That is not based around giving up our own spiritual sovereignty, but rather visualization exercises that is based in our own spiritual sovereignty, our own power. And specifically working with cosmic earth energies, solar energies, not to worship either planets or suns, but to work with those natural energies that our bodies are already based on, that our bodies already need for survival. It's more or less recognizing and being grateful for those very energies that are powering up our body each and every day. The air we breathe, the sun, the sun that provides us with energy and a desire to get up every day. The sun and moon regulating our melatonin sleep cycle, allowing us to sleep. It's not worship of these things. It's being regrounded with nature, and that in and of itself, mindfully, because you just can't go out in nature and drink a six-pack and be enlightened. You can actually end up a maniac or a killer, believe it or not. Weird shit can happen. But actually connecting with nature, connecting with the air through the breath, and being able to connect with the land through just simply sitting in one place, and not necessarily being in a major city or watching TV or chasing your next sexual adventure, or being able to actually appreciate the lake, the trees, the mountains, and it be what it is, just as it is, without messing it up too much. So that's a very grounding experience, but grounding is the next word we're going to focus on after deep breathing and then just simply being aware of the breath. And I would recommend Googling Vipassana meditation to learn more about the breath observation technique. I think these are great places to start. And I don't think it should take very long to get your mind around the concept of deep breathing and then observing the breath. And then moving on to grounding, visualizing your energy field grounded to the center of the earth, releasing pain, releasing toxic energy, releasing old dirty thoughts, being able to identify those thoughts and let gravity pull it down, to visualize gravity pulling down through the grounding cord to the center of the earth. I've heard it said to visualize a dot in the center of the earth. A dot in the center of the earth, a grounding cord connected up through your energy center. So there are multiple belief systems throughout the world that recognize an energy system or an aura or energy fields around the human body. And science in this day and age has confirmed that there's something going on. So this isn't witchcraft. And this is about spiritual sovereignty. And so there is nothing to fear. There is nothing to fear here in this realm of taking back your own spiritual sovereignty and using this exercise actually to clear yourself of anything that may have tried to penetrate your own field. From visualizing the toxic thoughts coming up on your radar, your ability to detect it, and then to visualize you easily being able to use gravity to identify and pull down through the grounding cord. Penetrations of your consciousness, pictures that have been implanted, entities that are within your field, and things that you've been stuck on, thoughts that you've been stuck on, things that you've created yourself, constantly thinking about this person, constantly thinking about this. It could be in your head. It might be like a picture in your head. And pulling that out through your magnetic field, through your grounding cord rather, sending it to the center of the earth. And here is what is widely believed through people that teach this type of technique and this way of healing yourself. The center of the earth, it's like this never-ending energy source that renews something and transmutes it back to where it came from. So it isn't an act of war to send something to the center of the earth, nor is sending something to the center of the earth the only way to deal with certain things or to heal yourself. But it's a way of sending it back to source where it came from. Giving that person or whoever sent that attack to you back their energy. They get their energy back. They don't necessarily know what they even did if they sent energy to you. We can send energy to each other back and forth. We have telepathic capabilities. And there are ways, of course, that Archons manipulate that. Once two human beings believe that they're psychically connected, there can be interference. And one person can believe that the other person's attacking. I've seen that up close and personal very recently, and I talked about that. The false sense of someone being angry and the false implants that often happen in this archonic world, where there is obvious misunderstanding over text message and email. A lot of people living in this technological age, they're ungrounded. They're not grounded to the earth. They're often described as being out of their body. By being connected to technology, they develop these awarenesses. There is an aspect of us that is psychic, even though it's not being recognized by people. And some people are afraid of it. And there's ways that the psyche or the psychic senses could be penetrated. And so there's people that believe in psychic potential that may not know themselves that there may be something feeding on their psychic abilities. What I'm feeling is that a lot of these things are actually taking place. That having psychic potential and being aware is not inherently evil. And there are people that go down the rabbit hole, though, of what their psychic potential can do. And when it relates to working with other spirits, that's where the danger can come in. That's where there's a liability, if you will. So we're focusing on the big three. We're focusing on deep breathing, breathing in through the stomach, expanding the stomach, and then expanding the chest, and then holding in that air for maybe a moment, and then releasing it. And, when you release it for about 10 seconds, like inhaling for a certain amount of time and then a slower release, you're controlling that energy. You're being more present. So you're bringing yourself in from all the distractions through the deep breathing process. And I am not going to try to create some sort of structure. I'm merely explaining these, the basic concepts behind these meditations in brief, so we can contemplate on them, and maybe you can practice a few, and then we'll kind of come back and talk about things a little bit more. Things like cosmic energy, earth energy, and bringing in a gold sun. And then using other things that we visualize to actually zone in the things that we're picking up on our radar, that we're seeing on our screen, and we remove those things from our body. So before we get to that, becoming familiar with deep breathing, becoming familiar with observing your breath, and getting out of the reactive monkey mind, being like stage 2, Vipassana meditation. Take some time to really listen to some lectures on the internet about Vipassana. And when you hear about people talk about the problem of the reactive mind, just think about the world that we live in today. Think about propaganda. Think about media mind control. Think about all the things that we've identified as the problem. And think about the individual shift in consciousness to where someone is able to override such programming, to where they're able to hear their own thoughts and not be so controlled by their reactive mind. So for some of you that are aware of certain conspiracy truths, that are on the spiritual path of cleaning up your own programming and being honest with yourself about things that you might need to become aware of. Being able to be silent is a place where a lot of stuff will come up. And it takes a major dedication to go to a retreat for more than 10 days and not talk and just focus on the breath. But that component of discipline is really, really valuable in one's meditation arsenal. I would consider Vipassana meditation just like deep breathing meditation. These are very basic things. Like in a martial arts class, it's like the push-ups or the sit-ups. It's foundational. No matter how complicated or abstract one's prayer system might be, or religious beliefs, things like deep breathing, that relates to health, and observing one's breath, that relates to focus. What you're hearing new in this conversation, though, some of you may have already heard about this, but for others, the conversation of grounding is new. And it's important to understand that by practicing such a thing, you're not giving power to certain entities. There are things that could be stuck in our own energy field, and we do have an energy field, whether people are aware of it or not. And I would highly recommend listening to Manly P. Hall's lecture on the human magnetic field and how through right morality or right action and treating people right, it's really good for our health, and creating wreckage in our own life through drugs and alcohol abuse, extreme abuse, and hurting others, abusing others, we can damage our Earth's magnetic field. So by grounding, it's like spiritual maintenance. Like taking a shower, it's cleaning out what's there. Someone may stink if they don't shower for a prolonged period of time. If someone doesn't ground for a prolonged period of time, and they're out of their body, and they don't know who they are, where they are for a prolonged period of time, there's going to be problems in that person's energy body. And so by researching grounding or doing it yourself, improving your ability to do it for longer periods of time, visualizing a wide grounding cord, wide at the top, wide at the bottom. Most of all, being able to effortlessly heal yourself through this method, because that's what the visualization is about. It's bringing your body a healing by grounding out your whole body and everything that you perceive within your body, your energy centers in your body, the different parts of your body, torso. There's different places that we hold pain or what's called foreign energy pictures in our body. These are like obsessions, things like implants in our mind, constantly thinking about certain things, even aspects of what we would call mind control programming or subliminals. Through grounding what's in the head. Through grounding perhaps even spirits that have tried to rent space in our head. Be those spirits in human form or elsewhere. Be they spirits of the light or other spirits. Being able to go into our own head and see what's there. And basically evict what doesn't belong there. And actually invoking our own spiritual sovereignty. These are very important concepts in today's day and age. And so I haven't taken this to very complicated levels. What I've done the last couple years is I have been looking for the patterns, listening to the podcasts, and I'm also looking for what's not being mentioned. How do we really protect ourselves? I'm asking other questions as well. What about counterattacks? And I hear perspectives that this actually just gives the entities more energy. And I wonder if that's the case each and every time. When is there a time to actually blast something back, or for a collective of individuals to put their consciousness together to perhaps visualize the machine, if you will, coming to an end? Using Dark City the movie as an analogy, there's a central headquarters. There's a machine that the Dark Lords, the Overlords, the Archons are using to penetrate the mind, to penetrate the world of man. And one man had the ability to take out this machine with his thoughts alone. I believe humanity collectively has this ability. We don't have to waste much time. We don't have to wait till 12 podcasts in for me to talk about this. So we talk about the basics of learning powers of the mind and doing this without the help of other entities or ETs that may come in and say they're going to help us or they're going to be on our side. Any beings on our side would be more interested in teaching us how to become sovereign from these beings, how to do this ourselves. Instead of jumping to channeling, it actually starts with build up your power, build up your energy field, and realizing that you have an energy field. Deep breathing is at the cornerstone of that. Martial arts is also at the cornerstone of that. And there is a peaceful aspect to the martial arts, a spiritual aspect, and I think we can all explore that in this conversation. In the power of the palms, hands, ability to kill, ability to heal. There's major chakra energy there that we can pull in from the cosmos that we can do amazing things with. Being able to observe our breath and be in a quiet state for days or weeks on end, and camping trip, boating, and being able to observe our thoughts, to observe what's there, and to become honest about what's there, and to become deeper in our awareness as to what's there, as we choose to be non-reactive, as we just keep going, we keep progressing, we stay calm, we don't, just jump up every few seconds. And of course, through grounding, we can heal ourselves, we can evict foreign spirits, we can clean up our own toxic thoughts that basically have attached themselves through the thought forms alone to our own bodies. You can even say entities of our own creation, our own Frankenstein, to go really deep with it, but that's actually where this goes. Yeah, our own psyche, our own actions can totally bring life to certain things that are holding us back in our energy field. And so grounding, there's no set time length for things like this. I think what's really most important is that people believe in the power of it, their own ability, not externally, but through their own power and their own spiritual sovereignty, that they can heal themselves, that they can make an impact on their own energy field, which they really, truly do have. It's about seniority. It's about having seniority over your energy field, declaring that, and that having power in and of itself, not using any other spirit for assistance in this process. Again, I repeat, not using any other spirit or energy other than your own organic, powerful energy that you now believe in to heal yourself, to ground yourself, to evict energies, the old thoughts that are yours, or other people's energies, or psychic surveillance of your energy, people thinking about you all the time, that has an impact. Yes, it does. You can heal yourself from such invasiveness by learning how to ground yourself. And these are all cornerstones. These are all cornerstones of psychic protection. The last thing that I'm going to discuss in this contemplation on meditation techniques is the visualization involving a golden sun that represents something in this visualization. It represents a magnet in that sun, represents your own energy that somehow or another has been littering around the cosmos. Things you've done in the past, things you are going to do in the future, or are thinking about doing in the future. Or anything else that's just got your focus. It's got your pull. Maybe some traumatic event, something you're worrying about, something financial, some relationship thing, some desire. It's got your focus. The visualization of the gold sun technique is to bring back that through the magnet inside it, a large gold sun above your body, pulling back your own essence, your own chi, your own prana. Pull back energy that you feel has been taken from you. Put all that back into the gold sun. And the idea is to visualize it get into such a large size level that it's bigger than you. It's bigger than life. And this is about believing in, and understanding, knowing that this is beyond limits. There's no limit to the sun and how big it is. And as it builds and expands and boils, it's taught to actually visualize that sun coming into you, whether it's sticking your fingers up and poking a hole in the bottom of it, or if it's just visualizing a hole opening up, like a laser gun, drawing lines under the sun. It's getting bigger and brighter and hotter above your head of your own energy. And it not being energy that burns or hurts you, but boosts you as your own energy held above you comes into your body, comes into your spirit, comes into your field. And so I've seen this meditation taught at the beginning of meditation sessions, and at the end, like after grounding, it's used to fill in those gaps, that void. It's now full with your own energy. And it's used at the beginning to boost someone up. So, we can do a guided meditation perhaps in the future, bringing in a gold sun. As we deep breathe and we connect with our aura, we build up that aura. We see it as powerful. We connect with the heart. And we bring our aura in, close to us, behind, in front, above, and down. And we're balanced in the heart as the sun comes in. And if we need to take some time for deep observation and reflection, we can do that, or we can jump right into grounding. As we ground all those things, all those worries, all that pain, all that discomfort, all that trauma, and things that we may not necessarily be conscious of, we are simply putting out the intention for all that is there to be removed, and the process will be done for us. We don't have to have special psychic powers of the mind in order to do this. This is about declaring sovereignty over one's energetic field. A healthy lifestyle that includes healthy food, healthy actions, healthy water, healthy thoughts, all contribute to a healthy field. A healthy field contributes to greater psychic protection. Unhealthy activities, excessive use of drugs, jumping out of body, heavy channeling of spirits, a lot of anger, a lot of control issues, a lot of open archonic thinking, left unchecked and unhealed. Lust gone array, be you male or female, stuck in the five senses, stuck in materialism. That leaves one open to attack, to having holes being created in their own human magnetic field and something else trying to control them through remote control. Once the penetration begins and the person isn't aware of it, the whole process of being vampired on could go on for years and years. A person may or may not become aware that there's something vampiring on their own energy field because their energy field has been left open. So it does come back time and time again to owning your own energy field. Sovereignty beginning at the spiritual level before the physical level. Sovereignty over your mind, sovereignty over your thoughts. And ladies and gentlemen, this is a whole world away from the world of channeling that a lot of people have chosen to jump straight forward before even dealing with the very basics. So I hope this person, I hope this podcast, as I've been sitting under the very hot sun here, I'm going to take a deep breath. I'm going to have to do some observation of breath this afternoon. We'll do a little grounding. We'll bring in my own energy. I'll bring in my own gold sun. We'll focus on the deep breathing as I feel healthier lungs as opposed to last week when I was smoking. And we'll keep coming back to this conversation. Contemplation on meditation and the power of proper use of visualization and how this is foundational. And in a way, this is much more important than just simply using magi or magic to manifest things for yourself in the world, selfishly. There's certain things that we might better manifest for ourselves. As they say, be careful what you wish for. Maybe it's better to have a clearer sight as to what we really want for ourselves, instead of perhaps trying to manifest through any means necessary things that maybe aren't for us. Maybe there's ways our energy is being leached. Maybe there's ways that we have to start getting our energy from other sources. Becoming more sovereign takes certain responsibilities. So we have to look at how we cut cords with certain things that we may be dependent on. As we visualize that grounding process. You hear this term, cut cords. We literally cut the cords with things we're dependent on, people we're dependent on, which also is why off-the-grid living, for me, is something that I'm discussing in conjunction with this clearing process. My way is not the only way. but I think that I need to fully explain and speak through the thoughts that I'm having, and how going out in nature, meditation, stepping back from the pleasures of the flesh, stepping back from attachments to wanting to be loved by some of the people of this world, allowing the zombie apocalypse to be as it is, observing it without reacting or freaking out, being clear enough in our own consciousness that we're not falling for the lies of disinformation, and being in a powerful state of being no matter what is in the headlines, sitting under the sun, taking in the power of the sun, healing ourselves with our own power of the mind, not thinking that we need some magic vagina or magic penis, some replacement mother or replacement father to heal us. No, we now heal ourselves with the knowledge at our fingertips. Thus, we now begin to protect ourselves against the archons of this world, declaring our own spiritual sovereignty. I'm Alex Ansary. Thank you for listening to this Contemplation on Meditation podcast, and we'll be back with more.